皆さん、お稽古お疲れ様です and welcome to Beyond the Dojo. I'm very sorry, guys, as you probably noticed. Yes, that's right, I'm not on the screen. Now, unfortunately, this week I have been down with pneumonia. Some of you may know if you've been following my other social media, but my wife first had it, my first daughter had it, my second daughter had it, and now the only person that has not gotten it is my youngest child, which is my son, who is 3 years old, who just turned 3 years old a couple of weeks ago. And I was the fourth victim of pneumonia in the family. I had a fever of about 39 degrees Celsius for 3 days straight, not being able to eat anything nor even move around, to be honest. And it was horrible. Yes, of course, breathing was very painful. My lungs hurt a lot. Yes, even now, it's really hard to take deep breaths. And yesterday morning, I finally, after 3 days of fighting with the sickness, on the fourth day, I finally had the fever down. And today's the fifth day, so I'm finally capable to speak with you. This morning, I held my Japanese online lesson too, which I had to shorten to about 40 minutes, which I usually do about an hour because after 40 minutes, I really couldn't catch my breath anymore. And I'm sure I'm probably going to have a hard time doing it right now as well, but let's see how things go. But I didn't want to what should I say, not post anything. I really wanted to try to keep the pace up on Beyond the Dojo as much as possible because, as you guys know, I have a very serious goal of achieving 100 members of the Kyoto Dojo within 2026, so I can build that real dojo in Kyoto, right? So I might sound a little bit slower than usual. My English, my vocabulary might even be even worse than usual and stuff like that. But I really hope you can understand. Yes, and I was really thinking, oh, should I still show my face and everything? But yeah, talking with my wife Harumi, the designer, and also my business partner, basically, we work together. But she was like, you know what, Shogo, you shouldn't do that. You look awful, to be honest. So if you show your face, everyone's just gonna be very worried about you. So I was like, that's totally true. Yes, I'm. So I was like, at least I can still speak with you guys. Okay. Now, with that said, unfortunately, yeah, another unfortunate thing, I guess, I had to skip the in-person training for the first time. Yeah, so this week, January 16th is the day I'm posting this, and it's exactly the timing that I'm recording this too. I'm recording this and immediately posting it, basically. But so the 13th was a Tuesday, so I was supposed to have training on that day and also on the 15th, right? Yeah, but the 13th, I was unable to go to the training. I had a 39 degrees or 39 point something degrees Celsius fever, and I was like, oh my gosh, should I still go or not? I have in the past, I'm sure you guys have too, right? But I have worked so many times in the past when I was working at whatever these places. I have worked many times, even if I had a very high fever. So if I had to, I could, yeah. But at that point, I didn't know if what I had was pneumonia or not. Yeah, so I was like, well, I don't know, dude, if this is just a cold, I should just go. But after, again, speaking with my wife for like 30 minutes, we're like, okay, if it's gonna take this much time to decide, then you probably should not go. And that was like, okay. And I sent everyone a message saying that I'm really, really sorry that I can't go. And then 2 days later is a Thursday, right? So the Kyoto Dojo in-person training holds trainings on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Thursday, now this is very, very sad too, because I'm hoping to make another episode about this too, by the way. But Thursday was supposed to be my Hatsugama. Okay, now Hatsugama means the first pot. The first pot. Okay, now this is a word that represents the very first tea ceremony of the year. And for anyone who is training in tea ceremony, this is a very, 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 very important occasion that you get to see the whole procedure of the 4 hour tea ceremony of your sensei. It's almost like, if you're a student of Asayama Ichiden-ryu, let's say, you get to, of course, there are rules to how to watch and enjoy it, yeah. But you get to watch a full performance of Seki Sensei's Enbu, starting from Asayama Ichiden-ryu's Kenjutsu to Iai to Shunjo to Kama, stuff like that. It's a once in a year event kind of thing, And everyone, all tea ceremony trainings, all look forward to that, and they get to see their senseis do, and they get to, eat meals and have sake, drink two types of matcha, enjoy that year's tea sweets and all that kind of stuff, and it's an amazing occasion. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to go. It's so sad. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yeah, and of course, my sensei is a very, how should I put this? A very popular sensei, I guess I should say. So there are no other open seats, obviously. So I just had to give up. Like, it's, tea rooms, I'm sure you guys know about this. It's just a very, very, very dark and small room on purpose. It represents the concept of wabi sabi and Zen Buddhism, these kind of things. So you could basically get squashed into this very small room. So it's not very good to have someone with a sickness in there, especially a sickness like pneumonia that can really, really get very bad, right? So I was like, okay, I have to give up. It's so sad, but as I always say, guys, 人生は一番いいようになっている. I always say in Japanese, okay, life gives us always the best happenings, or gives us not the best options, it gives us the best events. I guess I always say, and it's really hard to translate in English, but that's kind of like my motto, my core belief. Yeah, no matter what happens, it has a meaning, and it's always for the best kind of thing. So there must have been, maybe if I tried to go to Hazagama this year, on the way over there, let's say I took a taxi on the way there, maybe I could have been caught in a traffic accident. I don't know. So I'm just like, okay, well, there's nothing else I could have done, so let's just think of it that way, kind of thing. But yeah, so anyways, I missed my Hatsugama too. Yeah, and the Thursday, the Thursday training, I was originally going to be missing it anyways, but this week, so I couldn't go to any of my trainings, so it's really, really sad. Mm. And one of the reasons why I just took some time to talk a little bit about tea ceremony to you guys on this podcast, Beyond the Dojo, is because as a Budo trainee and also a tea ceremony trainee, yeah, Budoka, yes, and we say Sadoka, for example. I want Sadoka. I wonder if there are any other ways of referring to tea ceremony professionals. I'm sure there are. My brain is not working, guys. My brain was fried for 3 days straight. So if I can think of a different word, I'll let you guys know sometime else. But anyways, yeah. So there's a huge, huge relationship in the core of its teachings. So I'm sure you've heard of people who train Budo for many, many years in their lives, and toward getting into their, I don't know, 40s, 50s, they suddenly fall in love with tea ceremony, and they do lots of tea ceremony from there. A lot of in Japan, a lot of company owners do that. They like work, and they go up to their 40s, 50s, and they're like, oh my gosh, tea ceremony is beautiful, and they fall in love with it, and things like that happen. There's so many things that tea ceremony and Budo have in common, which are very interesting, and there are plenty of stories that I can actually share with you guys, because I am a person that's standing in between both Budo and tea ceremony, and it's really amazing how there are things that overlap each other, and it's beautiful. It overlaps beautifully. And especially, this is an important point, guys. Especially the Ryuho I train in. Yes, Asayama Ichiden-ryu Hyoho, and the tea ceremony Ryuho style that I train in. Yeah. So I'll talk about it in another occasion. Okay. Now, with that said, guys, I'm so sorry to take so much time to get into the main topic. Yes, even though I'm saying that I'm the one who is sick. One really important thing that I wanted to share with you guys, especially if you are hoping to, for example, let's say this isn't just an example, but if you're training in Asayama Ichiden-ryu and you start making content, you become an instructor, you are allowed to open your own dojo, for example, and you start making content for things like that and stuff. There are certain types of people, who will, for example, write comments, or certain types of debates you might see over certain content and things like that. And I'm sure not just Yai, but if you have experience in other Budo, please let me know. I'm sure it happens in karate. Maybe it happens in Aikido, maybe too. But there are always battles between, which Ryuha is better or not, right? Or one Ryuha criticizing the other Ryuha and things like that. To make my position very clear, I think it's totally unnecessary. That's one thing I want to make very clear. There's really nothing you can gain from going up and criticizing other people or maybe making fun of other groups of people, other communities. I think if you have the time to do that, you should really focus on your training. Yeah, there's always something you need to train. There's always something you can refine. Yeah. So that's my stance. That's one thing I want to first of all explain. And with that said, I really want more and more people to understand that this is more talking about Kinjutsu and Iai, guys. And I want more people to understand that there's a lot of Ryuha styles in Iai and Kinjutsu, right? And because there's so many different Ryuha styles, there's always these debates and fights happening between them. But first of all, we all need to understand that the traditional Ryuha styles have all been born in different time periods. They've all been born in different places in Japan, and they've all been born for different ranks of people in the past. Okay, so obviously they're very different, and obviously from certain Ryuha styles, a different Ryuha style looks very strange. Okay, so let's take for example Asayama Ichiden-ryu Hyoho, okay, the Ryuha style that I train in. Okay, Asayama Ichiden-ryu Hyoho was born around the end of the Sengoku War period, approximately about 400 years ago. Okay, right. So basically, it was a time when there was a lot of techniques and fighting methods that were born during the Sengoku War period, and because there was no battles, big major wars during the Edo period, in order for the culture of Budo, martial arts itself, for it to survive, they changed it into a training method, basically for samurais. Right, that was the big cultural transaction at that time. So a lot of the founders of Ryuha styles basically gave their techniques a name, named it. This is something something Ryu, yeah, style, that means. This is my something something style, yeah, and stuff like that, right? Yeah, so let's say the end of the Sengoku period and the beginning of the Edo period would be, for example, Miyamoto Musashi lived in that period, right? Yeah, he actually fought in 3 major wars during the Sengoku War period, but also lived through to the Edo period. Yeah, so that period was a time when a lot of these new Ryuha styles were born. Now, with that said, Asayama Ichiden-ryu is that, right? So that's the reason why I was born on the battlefield. That's the reason why we have something called an outer obi. Yeah, that's right. Totally forgot about that. On the screen, you guys can see me and the other students. If I'm have the video of the in-person training, I'll try to match that. We have another belt over our hakama, right? That represents the outer obi. We call soto obi in Japanese. And in the past, the samurais, if they actually carried multiple weapons, let's say they carried a daito or tachi, whatever, and they carried a shorter katana, wakizashi or tanto, maybe they carried another kama, sickle. Per weapon, they would have a obi belt. It could have been just on a sarashi, which is bleached cloth, yeah, or anything. It could just be a string or something like that. But it would always have one string or obi per weapon. Okay, so, and from there, during the Edo period, because there were no wars, the culture of the soto obi, outer obi, of course, disappeared in public, of course. And then what became more popular was the ceremonial form of having both the short wakizashi and the long uchikatana daito, we call, in the inner belt, which we call uchiobi, right? Uchi means inner, yeah, uchiobi. And this is a ceremonial form. And many Ryuha styles only have the inner obi, right? So there are some people, for example, let's just picking up this topic, yes, about the belts. There are some people who, for example, when I talk about you have to do the saibiki this much, and you hide your left shoulder and you draw the katana out like this, and you basically make your koiguchi and your left shoulder disappear and draw the katana. Let's say explain this. There's some people who say, well, yeah, Asayama Ichiden, you guys are using outer obi. That's like cheating, you know. Obviously, that'll make it a lot easier for you to do Sayabiki. That's just, you know, you guys are not doing it the fair way. Why don't you fight like us with the inner obi? Let's like wait. So that's completely different. You know, we our style is brought down this way, and we have to train this way. You know, I talked about this before. I think on this podcast, or maybe or as you know, other platforms have absolutely talked about this, but training in especially in Kobudo, which has a very long history, it's not just about training the techniques, but it's about protecting the traditions. We have another mission. Yeah, it's not just about training and getting better ourselves, but it's about protecting the traditions and carrying it on. That's another huge mission that we have to achieve. Right. So we can't just randomly change our ways of dressing, techniques, gestures, manners, you know, Leho rituals, just because we feel like it. We can't do that. That goes against what we're supposed to do as Kobudo trainees. So things like that happen. But so people who criticize us that way clearly does not understand the difference between the samurais who fought during the Sengoku War period and the samurais who were alive during the Edo period. The rules were completely different at that time. The techniques that were required at that time was completely different. Okay, and there are, for example, Ryuha styles who almost only practices swinging the katana straight as many times and as strongly as possible. I'm sure you've heard of this Ryuha style. And it's very powerful. They yell and they swing the katana straight as many times they can, and they continue swinging, and that is their training. And I think it's amazing. It's powerful, and it's another very beautiful form of Budo. But again, there might be other Ryuha styles like that's not even a technique, you know, or stuff like that, you know. But that was born because you know it was for certain people at a certain time in a certain area for certain people who needed to train that way in that time. Okay, so we have to remember, yeah, time. Yes, there has few hundred years of time span. That's number one, right? Yeah. Number two, Japan. Yeah, it's not a huge country, obviously, but in the past, yeah, imagine moving from the Kyushu area, let's say Fukuoka, even the Chugoku area, let's say Hiroshima, all the way over to Tokyo, which was, you know, previously Edo, right? During the Edo period. It was very challenging to move from that area all the way over to the Edo Tokyo area. Yeah, it was basically you could have, you know, lost your life, you know, you could have died on that journey trying to move from the east of Japan to the west or west of Japan to the east, right? That's how far, you know, one prefecture was to the other, right? So just by the dialects, that's why you know in Japan, dialects are very different still, right? Because the prefectures in the past were like small countries. People couldn't even move from one prefecture to the other without special permission. Okay, so that's how I almost isolated, not isolated completely, but that's how what should I say? Separated, I guess that's a better word. Separated each prefecture was. We in the past they would call it han. Okay, so that's how much it was different. Just by hearing the dialect, they'd be like, "You're not from our prefecture, right?" And they could get caught, for example. Okay, things like that happen. So it's very obvious that it's different, and there's no meaning to criticize each other. Yeah, let's say each prefecture in Japan today, there are what should I say, popular or representative sweets. Okay, I really hope if you've been to Japan before, you might know. I'm from Hiroshima, by the way, guys. But there's something called Hiroshima momiji manju. Yeah, so these are like these manju, yeah, sweet buns that are in the shape of maple leaves because Hiroshima is very famous for maple leaves. But those are really popular. Okay, now if you come to Kyoto, there are tons of very popular sweets, but one of them could be, oh my gosh, my brain is not working. Okay, I wanted to bring out the actual names. I want you guys to actually try it out when you come to Japan, but I totally for, oh my, the name doesn't come out. But let's say, Yeah, Hiroshima starts criticizing Kyoto and saying that, oh, look at that sweet, that's way too soft and it's just chewy, And then Kyoto says to Hiroshima, oh, look at that momiji manju, that's just, it just sticks in your mouth and it's too big, it's not good for souvenirs. Like, no, they're both great. They're both delicious, and they both represent the area, and they represent something of each area, and there's a reason why people love it, and things like that, right? Yeah. So that's how different it is. Okay. I think I've actually used the example of almost like Chinese food criticizing Japanese food, or Japanese food criticizing Chinese food. Let's say Chinese Japanese food criticize Chinese food, say no, you guys use too much oil or stuff like that, or the fire is too strong when you cook. Or Chinese food says to Japanese food, you guys, your tastes are just too plain. You got to put more ingredients into it, yeah, and serve with a big plate, and stuff like that. Like, no, you guys are both great, in your own way. You guys are both great. There's no need to be punching each other in the faces. There's really nothing that's born from there. That's what I personally feel whenever I see fights or debates between Ryuha styles. It's just a parallel line, if that makes sense, because there's nothing born from there, and we're on a completely different topic, if that makes sense. And again, we always have to remember, yeah, why are we doing this? Why are we training in Kobudo? And if training in Budo for you is to start a fight with someone and actually try to go and beat up someone, then I guess we're not on the same page. But at least for me, training in Kobudo again is, for me, I really want to be a part of that mission, as I explained to you earlier, trying to carry down the traditions, passing down Asayama Ichiden-ryu, hopefully at some point, to the 23rd headmaster safely. I want to, what should I say, at some point, maybe in a couple of decades later, I want Seki Sensei to feel assured that Asayama Ichiden-ryu will be safe. So we will absolutely be responsible to help him find the successor, right? Yeah. And support him, raise the successor, So I want to be a part of that. I want to be involved in that because I want to. That's it. And I love the community. I love the connections that I can create through Asayama Ichiden-ryu, the people who are dedicated, the people who are serious, the people who respect culture and history, the amazing brothers that I've met through Asayama Ichiden-ryu, and being able to bond with them because we train something together. This is why I train Budo. I didn't start training Budo because I wanted to write, you know, disgusting things in the comments of other Ryuha styles, platforms. No, I did not do that. So I think that personally, that's why I always try to keep in mind. Okay, now, guys. With that said, okay, so I'm so sorry. It's already been 23 minutes since I started this recording. With that said, guys, though, I've been talking as if I am never angry, and my mind is always clear and elegant and beautiful, but the answer is unfortunately no. There are, of course, a lot of Japanese people too who just want a lot of maybe views, clicks, or things like that, and just randomly make things up. Yeah. I have seen people who have done training in like half an year, 1 year, 1 year, let's say 1 year of karate, 1 year of iaido, half an year of kenjutsu, and hi, I'm master someone, and I've been doing this kind of thing. That I don't think that does not make me feel very good. Yeah, because of that, though, by the way, I don't go to their comments or say anything. Yeah, but I do want to make it very clear that I don't think everything is okay. Okay, just because these Ryuha styles, yeah, I what should I say, respect equally, and each Ryuha style has its right to carry their traditions to the next generation. My Ryuha style, yeah, our Ryuha style has our responsibilities to carry down our traditions to our successors, and the new students. Just because of that doesn't mean anyone can just raise their hand and act as if they are, they also have been carrying down these years of tradition, hundreds of years of tradition. even among Japanese people, it's not just in the world of Budo, guys. I can assure you that because I'm seriously training in tea ceremony no theater too, right? I think this is a really important thing that I know other fields of traditional culture too, but there are lots of Japanese people who easily use words like kobujutsu, like kobudo, dento, traditional, dento, and, furuki yoki, old, ancient, old and good, the old and good and things like that. Just so they can, forcibly bring up the value of whatever they just recently thought up of. Okay? To them, I feel it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Okay? That does irritate me a lot. Because, Asayama Ichiden-ryu trainees, you guys hearing this, right? You guys understand how much pressure Seki Sensei has on his shoulders to carry down Asayama Ichiden-ryu to the 23rd headmaster, right? If you fail to find a good successor, you kill a tradition that's been carried down for 400 years. And you fail to complete the promise that you made with the sensei you loved the most. That is the real weight of tradition, responsibility, pressure that few hundred years actually holds. Being able to endure that, finally you get to gain the benefits of it. Okay? You don't get to just say these words and receive these benefits. And very unfortunately, whoever is new to Japanese traditional culture don't know how to see the differences, right? So they find these young people swinging katanas around, stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, this is looking so cool. I want to train this too." And they're like, my gosh, guys, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This is really, really interesting. I'm not gonna tell you which one because I don't want to be mean, but I was trying to do my best to see how I can have more people find the Kyoto Dojo Asayama Ichiden-ryu. So I was looking up Kyoto Dojo and see what will come up first, And on the bottom of the first page, there was this dojo in Kyoto, and there was this person, I'm not gonna even say the gender, person, who says that he teaches, again, something like a mixture of sword acting, sword dancing, and 2 years of Iaido, and he gave it a name, and he calls it Kobudo something. And in the description, if you go down the website, in the description, he says, Kobudo refers to ancient traditional martial arts, which means the ryuha that I created is not technically a Kobudo, but I want to call it this way because I feel like it. I was like, what the heck? I was like, is this person serious? He literally said, Kobudo. So my school is basically not a Kobudo, but I'm gonna be calling it Kobudo. Okay, that's lying. That's simply lying. Okay. Kobudo means that your ryuha style, your traditions was born before the Major Restoration, before 1868. Okay, that's when you finally get to call it a kobudo. That's the definition of the word. Okay, you don't get to randomly put the name on just because you want to call it that way. Okay, so I mean it's okay. There's no laws to restrict people. Okay, and again, I've never been to these people's comments. I've never, I would never try to dig in that really deep or anything. I just found this person just because I was trying to find what people will find when they try to look up Kyoto Dojo, right? But it does make me very sad and a little bit angry that people who don't really truly understand the weight of a few hundred years on their shoulders, people who really carry that on their shoulders, and just easily using these words without having to take any responsibility. That is the only time when I do get a little bit angry. Not angry, but it just gets on my mind, if that makes sense. Yeah. So that was my story today. Guys, please let me know. I don't know about any other. I know about T-Series, I know about No Theater, I know about the world of Kobudo a little bit more. But about other Budo, like karate, judo, I don't know, kyudo, things like that. I don't know about other Budo Ryuha styles. So, of course, you don't have to name your Ryuha style. You don't have to name other Ryuha styles. Please don't do that. Actually, please don't do that. Yeah, but it would be great if you can let me know what you've seen before and what you felt. And if you, what should I say? Disagree with what I say, please go ahead, yeah, and tell me what you feel. Yeah, of course, if the comment is more like a fight, you know, I hate you and stuff like that, then I'm just gonna delete you immediately, of course, because there's no, you know, nothing's gonna be born from there. But if you feel like anything I said was not so accurate, or, you know, if you didn't feel very uncomfortable, then please just let me know anytime. Okay, that's where conversations begin, I feel. So, well, yeah, so please let me know what you felt. Okay, so guys, I'm very happy I was able to speak for about 30 minutes without having to cough. I'm definitely feeling that I'm recovering. Please wish me luck. I will be making another post next Tuesday. So I will hopefully be able to let you guys know that I'm feeling a lot better. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and I'll be waiting for your comments. And then, by the way, I've been reading all of your comments in the past posts, so I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.